Sophie sat on her bed, listening to the rain tapping against the window. It was a quiet evening, just like any other, until she heard something unusual. A faint creaking sound came from the ceiling. At first, she thought it was the wind, but then she heard it again louder this time. She put her book down and listened carefully. Was it just the old house settling? She had lived here since she was a child, and the place had always made strange noises. But tonight, something felt different. Another sound echoed from above. This time, it was a whisper. A voice. "Hello." Sophie's heart pounded. She froze, gripping the blanket tightly. Maybe she had imagined it. The storm outside played tricks on her ears all the time. But then, she heard it again. "Hello?" It was soft, uncertain, almost hesitant. She took a deep breath and glanced at the attic door across the hallway. The sound was coming from there. For a moment, she hesitated. Should she check? The voice spoke once more. "Is someone there?" Sophie stood up, slowly. She walked toward the attic, her curiosity growing stronger than her fear. Sophie climbed the narrow staircase leading to the attic. Each step creaked under her weight, blending with the sound of rain hitting the roof. The air was colder up here, carrying a faint scent of old books and dust. She hesitated at the attic door. Her hand hovered over the doorknob. What if she was imagining things? What if... Hello. The voice was clearer now, gentle yet unfamiliar. Sophie swallowed her fear and pushed the door open. The attic was dimly lit by the moonlight seeping through a round window. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars. At first, she saw nothing unusual, just the same old furniture covered in white sheets, stacks of forgotten boxes, and then she saw him. A figure stood near the window, pale, almost transparent, wearing an old-fashioned vest and trousers. He didn't look frightening. In fact, he looked just as surprised as she was. "You can see me?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. Sophie took a cautious step forward. "You single quote trade ... a ghost." The figure nodded. "Yes, I suppose so. My name is Oliver." She stared at him. A ghost. A real ghost. Yet, he wasn't moaning or rattling chains. He was just standing there, looking lost. Oliver tilted his head. "You're not running away." Sophie crossed her arms. "Should I?" For a moment, Oliver said nothing. Then, with a sheepish smile, he shrugged. "I guess not. I've never met someone who wanted to talk to me before." Sophie's heartbeat slowed as she realized Oliver wasn't dangerous. He seemed normal, except for the fact that he was slightly transparent. "How long have you been here?" she asked. Oliver sighed, glancing at the dusty shelves. "A long time. Decades, I think. Time is strange when you're like me." He turned back to her with a hopeful look. "But you can hear me. You can see me. That means you can help me." Sophie frowned. "Help you with what?" Oliver hesitated, then scratched his head. "Well, my English. Your English." She wasn't sure she had heard him right. He nodded. "I listen to people sometimes. Their words are different now. I tried talking to someone once, but they laughed at me. They said I sounded like an old book." Sophie stifled a laugh. "Well, you do look like you came from an old book." Oliver sighed dramatically. "See, that's why I need your help. I must learn how to speak like people today." Sophie thought for a moment. It was an odd request, but it didn't seem difficult. "All right," she said. "Let's try something simple." Oliver's eyes lit up. "Yes, A lesson. Sophie crossed her arms. Okay. Say something the way you would normally say it. Oliver straightened his posture and cleared his throat. My sincerest gratitude for your assistance, young lady. Sophie blinked. Okay, nowadays, we just say, thanks for your help. Oliver frowned. That's it, no sincerest gratitude. No, just thanks. Oliver muttered the phrase under his breath, testing it. Thanks for your help. He smiled. That is quite efficient. Sophie grinned. See, you're learning already. Oliver looked eager to continue. What else? What do people say when they meet someone new? Sophie thought for a moment. Well, usually, we say, hi, nice to meet you. Oliver nodded. Ah, I see. In my time, we would say, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Sophie chuckled. Yeah, we don't really say that anymore. Oliver sighed. No wonder people laugh at me. Sophie decided to make the lesson more fun. Okay, let's play a game. I'll ask you a question, and you have to answer the way people speak today. Oliver straightened his vest. A challenge. I accept, she smiled. All right, question 1. If someone asks, how are you? How do you respond? Oliver thought for a moment. I would say, I am quite well. And yourself? Sophie shook her head, too formal. Just say, I'm good. How about you? Oliver repeated it slowly. I'm good. How about you? Sophie nodded. Perfect. All right, next question. If someone offers you something and you don't want it, what do you say? Oliver smirked. I would say, no, thank you. But I greatly appreciate your kind offer. Sophie laughed. Too long. Just say, no, thanks. Oliver sighed. You modern people are very efficient with words. Sophie grinned. Yep, and you're learning fast. Oliver looked thoughtful. All right, one more. If I wish to depart, what do I say? Sophie smiled. Easy. Just say, see you later. Oliver practiced, see you later. Then he beamed. This is quite enjoyable. Sophie couldn't help but smile. Teaching him was more fun than she expected. Oliver paced the attic, repeating the new phrases under his breath. See you later. No, thanks. I'm good. How about you? He stopped and grinned. This is marvelous. Sophie laughed. You're getting better. But now, let's try something harder. Oliver's expression grew serious. A greater challenge. She nodded. You've practiced small phrases, but now you need to put them together. So here's your next challenge. Tell me a short story using modern English. Oliver's enthusiasm faltered. Oh dear, a full story. Sophie shrugged. You want to sound natural, right? He hesitated, then cleared his throat. All right, here goes. Oliver straightened his vest, thinking carefully. Once upon a time, Joe. Wait, do people still say that? Sophie chuckled. Yeah, that's fine. Encouraged, Oliver continued. Once upon a time, a young man, a guy went to the market. He wanted to buy fruit, but he had no money. So he talked to a woman selling apples and said, Sophie leaned forward and said what? Oliver scratched his head. Perhaps, pardon me, madam, but might you spare an apple? Sophie shook her head, too old-fashioned. Try. Hey, can I have an apple? Oliver sighed. Your words are so simple. That's the point, Sophie said. Keep going. Oliver adjusted his posture. Okay. The woman smiled and said, sure, here you go. And the guy said, thanks. Then he left. Happy, Sophie clapped. See? You just told a full story in modern English. Oliver looked pleased. I suppose I did, Sophie smirked. Now let's make it harder. You tell a story, and I'll correct you as we go. Oliver's eyes widened. Oh dear. Oliver took a deep breath. All right, I'll try again. He thought for a moment, then started. So there was this guy. He wanted to buy a horse. Sophie raised an eyebrow. A horse? That's a bit old-fashioned. Oliver crossed his arms. I like horses. Sophie chuckled. All right, keep going. He went to the market and saw a beautiful black horse. He asked the owner, "Excuse me, sir, how much does this noble steed cost?" Sophie groaned. Nobody says noble steed anymore. Just say horse. Oliver sighed. Fine. How much is this horse? Sophie nodded. Much better. Oliver continued, trying hard to keep his language simple. The owner said, "It's expensive." The guy said, "Oh no, I don't have enough money." Sophie smiled. Perfect. That sounded natural. Oliver beamed. I am improving, aren't I? You really are, Sophie said. You just need to practice more. Oliver hesitated, glancing at the window. It's strange. I've been here for so long, listening to the world change. But no one ever talked to me until now. Sophie's expression softened. Well, now you have someone to talk to. Oliver smiled. Yes, and I'm glad. Sophie nodded. Me too. There was a comfortable silence between them. For the first time, Oliver didn't feel like a ghost. He felt like a friend. Oliver looked around the attic, his usual loneliness replaced by something new hope. I never thought I'd have a friend again, he admitted, let alone one who would teach me how to speak like a normal person. Sophie smiled. Well, you're not just a ghost. You're Oliver. And you're doing great. Oliver chuckled. Thanks. He paused, then added, see, I said it the modern way. Sophie laughed. You did. And you didn't even think about it. Oliver straightened his vest. I shall I'll keep practicing. Sophie nodded. Good. And I'll be here to help. As the rain continued outside, Sophie realized something. She had set out to teach Oliver. But in the end, she had learned something too. Sometimes the best way to improve is to just start talking. And so, their lessons continued. Not between a girl and a ghost, but between the friends.